Greetings. Welcome to Baltimore Comic Con.
Bestow Productions presents Creative Continuity at Baltimore Comic Con 2013. Get the latest news directly from your favorite artists, writers, and a few surprises. Tune in for Creative Continuity's coverage of Baltimore Comic Con. We bring the convention to you.
So tell us, why are you here at Baltimore Comic Con of all places?
Well, haven't been here yet and just flew in to check out my surroundings and see if there was any imminent dangers in this plane of existence. So far, so good.
We're here at 2013 Baltimore Comic Con with Mike Mignola of Hellboy fame. How has it really developed as a character and as a property?
It's still the book I always wanted to do. It hasn't changed. I mean, I'm very grateful that for 20 years I've had a publisher that never told me, we'd like it if you did this, we'd like you to do that. They've left me alone to do exactly the book I want to do for 20 years, which doesn't happen very often. It is a creator-owned book. Yes, it is creator-owned. So they can't really tell me what to do. They could, but there's so many different types of creator-owned book. But yes, I do own it outright, and fortunately it has made money, so I guess they feel if it ain't broke, there's no reason for them to stick their fingers in. Now, I do know other publishers where there are books that are theoretically creator-owned, but those publishers can't stop monkeying with that stuff. But mine is really creator-owned and creator-controlled.
Your immediate impression, right, when movie studios came to you thinking, Hellboy would be an interesting film property.
Well, the studios never did.
No
studio ever wanted to make a Hellboy movie. My publisher put it into development at Universal.
Okay.
I don't know that anything would have ever happened, but then Guillermo del Toro, who was a fan of the comic, he came to my publisher and said, I see you guys are trying to get this movie made. I'm the guy to make this movie. So it was del Toro and my publisher, but really I think mostly it was del Toro who was out there for 6 years trying to convince somebody to let him make the movie.
What's your relationship been like with del Toro and the castmates, everyone on the project?
I mean, I had a great time. I mean, it was such an interesting problem, how to translate Hellboy into a film, and del Toro wanted me involved. Again, he was a fan of my work. He actually brought me in with him. I worked on Blade 2 with him, which he did right before Hellboy. So I worked with him on that. Then we rolled over into working on Hellboy. Yeah, del Toro wanted me involved. I mean, a lot of filmmakers would not want the creator of the comic there. But del Toro wanted me there as much as he could have me there. So, I was in pre-production with him. We scouted locations together. And then I was on set for probably at least a month on each picture. I was on for at least a month. So it was a great experience for me to get to see guys, making a movie.
How has, really with those guys making a movie, how has maybe your presence on the set, do you think that made it a better movie? Some movies, like the early Batman movies, the later ones in the Nolan and the Schumacher Burton series, they kind of went a little sideways. I mean, do you think?
Well, again, you get into something like Batman, and where's the creator? Well, he's dead. And I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, Bob Kane was actually in the first Tim Burton Batman movie in a cameo, but it's meaningless. What you need is the creator or somebody who at least understands the comic involved in the writing. Once you're on set, it's done. I mean, it's written, theoretically. So on the set, I was able to kind of make a few suggestions about dialogue and stuff. But for the most part, I was there just to go, to watch the show. But it does make a difference when you're writing something, when you're adapting something, to at least understand the material, as opposed to, we bought this property, now let's change it into something completely different. You look at the Fantastic Four movies, and it looks like nobody involved in those had ever even heard of the Fantastic Four, and if they'd heard of it, they just disliked it intensely. So nothing about what made the Fantastic Four work is in those movies.
Do you think the writing team, the production team strayed away too much from your character?
From the very beginning, the very first meeting I had with Del Toro, I said, and I was a fan of his films, so I said, I've done it my way. I know you're going to want to make it different, and that's fine. Because he was also a fan of the material. So if he was some guy who came in from left field who I didn't know and wasn't a fan of the material, I would have been a lot more nervous. But I probably would have taken the money anyway. But I knew Del Toro understood the material, and but I said, feel free to make a Del Toro version of my thing. Now what happened, I learned over the course of the movies, it's much easier to tell a guy, go ahead, do it your way, than to be in a room when he's changing your thing. So I think with the first movie, he is clearly adapting one of my books. The second movie, we actually sat down with the second movie and tried to do an adaptation of one of my stories. But by the end of the first movie, the Del Toro version of Hellboy was so different, and the relationships between the characters were so different from the comic, we couldn't go back to the comic. So we had to come up with an original story that was a sequel to his movie. And if he ever made a third movie, he's even further away from the comic. So I can't imagine having any input at all, just because I don't understand that version of the Hellboy world.
Has Mr. Del Toro indicated at all any interest in making a third movie?
Yeah, Del Toro says a lot of things, and I think he genuinely does want to make everything he says he wants to make. We used to joke about it. Every time, when we were on the second movie, every idea he had, it was, well, I'll put that in the third movie. If he put everything he told me that was going to be in the third movie into the third movie, it would be like a 36-hour movie. So I have no idea what he would do for a third movie at this point. I know, according to him, it would be extremely expensive, which I suspect means it will never be made.
What do you have coming up in the Hellboy story, and what else do you have coming up? Any creator-owned stuff beyond that?
No, I have more Hellboy. My focus now is I've gone back, I'm drawing the Hellboy stuff again myself. I killed him off, he's in hell. 4 issues of Hellboy in Hell have come out. A 5th issue comes out at the end of the year, and then I'm just going to keep doing more Hellboy in Hell.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mignola.
Thank you.
With sculptor Paul Harding. How'd you want to become a sculptor?
Well, as a child, I was a huge action figure collector. I collected everything from G.I. Joe to Star Wars to superpowers, Transformers. So it's been in me for well over 30 years. I always wanted to be a part of it, I think.
How'd you go about wanting to accomplish that?
Well, I went to school for illustration. I read a lot of comic books as a kid. And one thing sort of led to another. As I was starting out, when I moved to New York City, I was a design director, and that company folded, and I just went out and started designing toys that I thought would be cool. I met a company called Mezco Toys. I started designing, and then started sculpting, and one thing led to another there.
How much focus and just the process of sculpting does it take? It must take a lot of focus on your part. How much direction do you get from different companies that you're working with? Because you're working with licensed properties like Arkham Asylum. I'm sure you're getting a little bit of direction on.
Absolutely, with licensed properties like video games and creator-based statues and action figures, there's plenty of direction. And it's part of the game, and I enjoy it.
Which have you most enjoyed working on?
I've been a Joker fan for as long as I can remember, so to be able to do the Joker at multiple scales was really cool.
Specifically Arkham Asylum, that's such a big project. I'm imagining taking on. How did you go about getting hired by those guys?
I'd been working for DC at the time, anyhow, as a freelancer. So, cool projects come up every now and then. And
How does DC go about assigning you assignments?
it's just kind of if I'm free and whatever is up next in their rotation. So any number of factors can determine what I'll be working on. And it's been 8 years that I've been doing this with them. So they know I get things done in a timely manner, and that's what matters, I think. Yep.
What other stuff have you enjoyed working on? I know you've done Green Lantern, Brightest Day, Marvel.
Yep. Lots and lots of Marvel Legends over the past few years. A bunch of Star Wars action figures and statues.
What stuff do you have coming up, sir?
That I can speak about. I have 2 Superman statues coming up in the springtime. One is based on Frank Quitely's work, and one is based on Kenneth Rocafort's work. So that's the Man of Steel line, and they're shiny. I got to meet Brian Bolland today, and I gave him a special, one-of-a-kind Joker statue. It meant a lot to me to be able to do that.
The guy who was behind the Killing Joke, I mean, that's
Right.
that's almost like a spiritual thing, man.
It was, man, and it's something I wanted to do for a long time.
Do you know about Bestow Productions? We're the area's leader in video production. We provide quality, award-winning, and professional work in television commercial advertising, video for the web, video content for direct distribution, video on demand, and so much more. Give us a call at 570-486-4948 and see what Bestow can do for you. And now you know.